we definitely put a lot of like eggs in the basket last year in OUA. So like a bunch of my runners did like 4 events. So this year we tried to just take a step back and say like we might need to leave a couple points like on the track to save them for U Sports.
Yeah, that was 100% the plan. On the men's side, Emmanuel, his health was in question going into the OUA Championships, and it wasn't until he ran the heats in the 60, where he ran U Sports standard. It was almost like no decision to even pull him at that point. Okay, the goal was to be healthy, to race fast enough to go to U Sports. So once he did that, that decision was made. Kenneth's the decision to not have Kenneth compete in both long and triple was also a decision that was made early on in the season. Kenneth was on board. Obviously Caroline, our coach, was on board. We were more concerned with his health and being able to compete in both events, and the fact that at U Sport, triple jump is the very last event on day 3. We would know kind of what we needed to do at that point. And if Kenneth was healthy, he was going to compete. And then also just managing Aaron Thompson a little bit differently this season. He did not race as much throughout the season, and certainly had his best results at the championships.
The team was actually very receptive. I think we all learned from what happened last year, and everybody was very much on board with, look, like, let's zoom out a little bit here. As much as we would love to double banner at OUAs again, like the bigger goal here is double banner at U Sports. So it's not like we had to talk anybody into, taking it easier or not even running certain people, not having certain people compete. Everybody was very much on the same page, and that makes it easier for sure. And it just speaks to their maturity and just how aware they are. So that they honestly made our jobs pretty easy as coaches, because it's not an easy call to make.
I always am like, I want to read it like before I compete, so I'm not like, or like read it at the track, so I'm not like crying, because it's like very like personal, like especially like your closer friends like write you like really sentimental, like nice messages. But I took a picture of mine and I read it the night before like semis and finals, and yeah, obviously it's like pretty like emotional, especially like the last one too. So, and just like seeing what everyone's like supporting you and seeing what they say, it definitely like hypes you up and makes you want to do something bigger. So for me, it's been like pretty like a special thing since first year, and just like seeing like how full my poster was, like how much like support and everything that people had for me. It was just like, yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Oh, it was incredible. I don't think I allotted enough time to read all the thoughtful messages that my teammates had left me. I even had to flip my poster around, because there are a few messages on the back from the incoming women's team captain Morgan and my old roommate Jared. They had written their messages on the back, and it was so emotional, but it allowed me to feel things that you don't typically feel on a day-to-day basis. And I think that gave me the extra little bit to propel my performance in the way that it did. I think a lot of throwers, or even just track athletes as well, when they show up to meet, sometimes self-doubt can creep in. But reading all those positive messages from your teammates just really just reaffirms all of the belief in yourself and in all the people around you. So it was emotional, yes, but definitely very, very heartwarming to read those messages and then be able to put together the performance that I did right after that.
My 1K was first, which is like my best event. The 1K and 4x8 are my stronger events. And then the 1K, I came in knowing like, okay, I'm like strong enough to win this year. And I did, and it went really well. But every race for me was kind of like a warm up in C, which is kind of crazy. Just like going into every race, it was like I had a hip injury, and it was like, am I going to be able to run? And every time I like warmed up, it was like, okay, like now I'm good or I'm not. Like before the 600 on day 2, it was bothering me a lot more after day 1. So then I ended up scratching the 600, which it was pretty reminiscent of last year because I had a big hip injury come up the day before OUAs last year, which was really unfortunate. And then last year I ran the K and the 4x8 injured. And then the 600 I started and didn't finish because it was really bothering me. Versus this year, like we kind of took a step back and we were like, okay, why am I even going to start this if I want to be on the start line at U Sports in 2 weeks? Last year I came into OUAs with the top seed in the K, and then like I said, an injury came up and I didn't even end up on the podium. And so this felt like a long time coming for me. And I was like, I was ready for that step up.
So I went into that race knowing that I hadn't done a lot of speed and I was strong, so I wanted to make an assertive move with 400 to go if it wasn't super fast, because if it's a kind of a sit and kick with 200 to go, I don't have the training and the wheels to be able to do that. So I made a hard move and I kind of broke open the race and ended up coming second. I'm overall like pretty satisfied with how I executed the race. I think there's things I could have changed, like having a response when my teammate Hallie passed me in the last 150, but I'm pretty new to the 1K and I've been injured the last few years, so I haven't been able to run that event. So overall I was pretty happy, and it was my first time getting on the OUA podium.
Me and Armand, like my training, my teammate, we made the goal to get 1-2 at OUAs and get 1-2 at U Sports. And we knew it was in the cards, but we kind of both had our, well, him especially, he had a bunch of injuries that stopped him from training throughout the, like maybe like 30% of the season. So he was kind of rusty going into OUAs, and I was cheering through, like for him kind of the entire competition, telling him, you know, like, let's get going, man. Like, I'm trying to jump far, you're trying to jump far, let's get going, right? We leave it up to round 6 when obviously I'm in the lead with the 740, and I know it's his last jump, so I'm pushing him, and he got some big ones out there too, but there were faults, so I knew that he could have done something special in this last one. 746, he passes me, and my immediate reaction is like I thought that jump was much further. I was very like, I was shocked that it was only 746, but he passed me, and obviously like I'm more so happy for him in this moment than like I am like, oh no, I got to pass him, you know. So I was grateful that like now I know that he secured the second or the first or second place spot. And then on my last jump, obviously like I knew that there was still a big one loading. I think, yeah, like I jumped my 790 in the 6th round at Penn State, and I knew I could kind of do the same thing at OUA. So I was like, I was ready to go. And then, yeah, I didn't feel like anxious at all, or like I had to pass him. It was more like, okay, like let me put a big one out there. And then, yeah, it was nice that after I jumped 799, he celebrated for me the same way I celebrated for him beforehand. And yeah, it was more of like a wholesome, full circle moment, right?
I think that Kenneth's 799 was definitely brought to you in part by Armand. Yes. And that's awesome. Those are the moments in sport we live for. Like that was a core memory made for me that I'm never going to forget. It's definitely a highlight to see Armand, who also struggled with injury all season long. We were unsure if we should compete him at OUAs, and that was a really hard one. He only had competed once all season before that, and I wanted him to. He is a gamer. I wanted him to have that championship experience. So for him to come out and kind of put the heat on Kenneth and move into first place in that final round was huge. And that's where it's hard as a coach, because like you want it for Armand, but you also want that to really fire Kenneth up and like do something crazy. So I always say that as a coach, I'm rooting for whoever is on the runway. So I was so happy for Armand. He walks out of the pit. I've never seen him so happy. And then We got to go into Kenneth mode because he's standing on the runway and he runs down the runway and he just launches a beast. And that was a really, really cool moment. Like the facility was electric after that jump.
OUAs, I ran just the 3,000 and the 1,500. Normally, I also do the 4x8. So both races went pretty well. I was a little disappointed with my 3,000. It was more of a tactical error. I got a little caught up in the back and missed a big move and had to do a lot of the race solo to try and close the gap. I ended up finishing second, which still was pretty happy with, just was disappointed with my tactics. And then the 1,500 the next day was another tactical affair, a nice slow race, and ended up winning the race. So I was pretty happy. It was really good points for the team, and overall it was a pretty solid weekend.
So I got the opportunity. I was invited to a meet in Czech Republic. I was invited there. It's a very small meet. It's just high jump and shot put. Sarah and Richard, my coach and my training partner, were invited. They pulled me along. I competed 2 days before I had to compete at OUAs in Windsor. So I competed and I immediately got on the plane the next morning. I flew home, landed in Toronto, packed my stuff from my house, got in the car, drove 4 hours, got to the hotel, slept, woke up, breakfast, and then I went to compete. But again, that's just another, I made sure to be back for OUAs because it was important to me, but it was more important that I showed up for my team that day. So I look at the world rankings now. So I try to, whatever meets are ranked, I set a goal for myself that I need to hit 1650 plus at an F meet, because I'm aiming for world championships, NACACs, Pan Am. So I need to up my world ranking. So that's where my personal goal setting comes in, because you still need to reach for something when you're competing, or you're just going to flatline with your results. So coming back from OUAs, definitely I was jet lagged. So I had a goal of hitting at least 16. It didn't go as I wanted it to, just because I was exhausted. But I knew that I had something to work towards for esports.
Yeah, Liv is just an incredible person and athlete, very gifted physically. Her strength, her size. She changed her technique to 3 years ago from the glide to the spin, and is really this past year has just, she started to have some great performances last season, but now she's really comfortable in it and still tweaking and having the opportunity to work with Sarah Mitten, who is our national champion and a world champion in shot put, definitely motivates Liv. And I know having Liv around Sarah is helpful for Sarah as well. So I mean, I really do believe that Liv is just going to keep improving. She's young. Sarah Mitten competed for Windsor and was a U Sport champion, and then really excelled after university. So I think the same path will be in store for Liv.
So going into it was me versus just another girl, which was super frightening because I've never just had a 1v1 race. It was my first race of OUAs and my last OUAs. So it was super nerve-wracking, but I was just do what you always do and don't think, just run, trust yourself. And I was able to run my second all-time flat track time, and I came second. So it was great to just be on the podium again.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. Probably the best race I've ever been a part of. I knew, so I was in lane 6, Aaron was in lane 5. I knew that I needed to get out pretty fast because Aaron's got really good 60-meter speed. So I knew that he'd be on my shoulder within the start of the race. So my strategy going into the race was just to get out as hard as I could and try and kind of maintain coming around that curve. And I think coming around that curve, I kind of built up some good momentum and got into my stride, which was, I guess I executed the race plan well. And then kind of coming off that final curve, it was kind of me versus him, and whatever we had left, we kind of just sent it all, left it all out there. And it was a crazy finish. I think it was a differential of 0.02. which is like a photo finish. Like can't ask for any closer than that. And it was a super special race to kind of share that with him, like that moment with him. Like we're roommates, we're in med school, like he's one of my best friends. So it was such a special moment to share that with him. And I was super grateful that we both ran PBs at that track that day. And it was, a really great race. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it, really.
So me and Josh is an interesting case, right? Because we're both, we're roommates. We're both in medical school. We're both kind of nearing the end of our athletic careers at universities, at least, but especially him, he's got an extremely bright future ahead. And to have him as a training partner and as a friend and as a roommate and someone who's in the same program as me is super special, right? And the fact that we are both at the level where we are at the OUAs was super cool, because coming 1 and 2 with him beating me at OUAs was pretty incredible, because it was basically us and then a pretty big gap and then the rest of the field, right? And that was a pretty unique situation. It's something that's really neat when it's someone you're so close to experiencing that kind of success. And I think we were both super thankful for that. And then to continue to have him as a training partner for the rest of the 2 weeks before U Sports was fantastic as well. And I know we'll be training together for a long time. So yeah, one of my best friends, and very, very thankful to have him along this year.
Usually, like when OUAs come, since we have so many guys and so many spots for the roster, we try to like figure out who can go, and like with the flexibility of the multis, I guess we try to figure out who can do what, because some guys are good enough at individual events to compete and score points there. So kind of figure out who can score points, who's healthy, that kind of stuff, who is maybe in contention, like maybe should say for U Sports. So it's kind of like a chess game, I guess. You're trying to figure out what pieces are best. So going into OUAs, originally I wasn't supposed to do the HEP, but it seems I was the healthiest, which was an interesting turn of events, because usually I'm the one with some kind of injury going on. But yeah, so we decided I'll do the HEP, and then a couple of the guys are good enough in individual events that they can score points there, like Quinn and Man, you could do pole vault. And then as for how it was planned to go, I was just kind of hoping to score some points. We joked that it was a conservative HEP, so we're kind of limiting the number of like attempts I took in like the jumping events. But it ended up going like really well for everything, except maybe long jump. But like everything like across the board was pretty good, and obviously ended up placing first, which was really cool. I guess it was, I don't know, 4th year, I think it was. Too many years to go now. I was kind of in contention for that first place finish, but ended up injuring myself that year. So I was like really happy to like have that this year and kind of come full circle.
Jared is an incredible athlete. He is a more quiet leader, but he's got this great like sense of humor that like everybody just loves Jared. I mean, there's nothing not to like about him. He works hard. When he came to me, I was like, to tell me that he was coming back, I was very, are you sure? Like that's amazing. Like I thought we had a good team, but now we've got an even better team. So it was special to have him come back, particularly because it was my final season. And it's like, you sometimes think, okay, do you really have eligibility left? Because we had that, he was part of our team during the COVID years, and that's one of the reasons why he was able to come back. And I wanted to make sure that he was coming back for a valuable academic program for his career, and it definitely was in the marketing, realm, which has helped him. He's got a placement this summer, is in his field, and able to continue to train and compete, and we'll see what happens in his future too. But it really was exciting to, know that I could go through this final year having Jared as one of our team members. And he and Seth have been very, very close too. So there's that element, as well as of having the senior men's team leadership.
With
favor, again, the 600 she's been getting better and better at it every single year. So we kind of knew that she could run a good time at OUAs for sure. There's definitely like more competition for her at U Sports just with some of the CanWest people. So we just wanted her to run the same race that she has all year. So she takes it out pretty hard and then just kind of controls the race. So that didn't really change at OUAs, and she wanted to go out in a little bit faster of a time to kind of see how if the race went out a little bit faster at U Sports to kind of practice that. So she took it out harder than she usually did, and she was able to kind of hold on for the last 200 for the 600 meters. And again, yeah, to break that record. We all knew that she could run a good time, but it did kind of surprise a lot of us on how fast it was. But again, she worked like super hard this year, and everybody again knew that something big was going to happen.
Honestly, I was not even thinking about the time. I was just like, let's just run and give it 1,000%. Sometimes you can run too fast and then pace it wrong, and then it'll be like not as fast. But I was not even thinking that. I was just like, let's just run out hard, hold on, and kick the last lap. Like, and that's like my strategy for the 6. And like, let's just execute what I know I could do. And then when I saw the time, I was like, oh my God, like I did not expect it to be this fast.
Like prelims and semis kind of just like, just get to finals is kind of the job that like Taylor always says, just like get to finals. Finals going into it, like the only really other competitor is like, her name's like Gabby from Guelph. So going into, she's been like a really good competitor like the whole season. So just going into that, it's not going to be like an easy win, obviously. And it like wasn't an easy win because I won by like barely anything and she came second. So just like pretty much just get to the end of the finish line was kind of just, and win was like my mentality. So it was kind of surreal because at the beginning of the season when I like wrote like my goals for the whole season, it was like win OUAs and then like little asterisks like get the OUA record. Like I knew that was like I could do it, but like seeing it actually happen was like so like crazy. Like I was just like so happy. So yeah,
that's what the coaches have been seeing for the past couple of years now with Viv. Just with the talent that she has, and her work mentality in practice has just really aligned with that this year. So to finally see it happen for her was like huge. And then for her to see that as well, like definitely gave her the confidence that she could kind of like make that next step to, because again, she is done at Western. So a lot of athletes kind of get stuck of if they want to continue track outside of university. So with that, that time that she was able to run, like you can see that it kind of made her think about it a little bit more. But yeah, just, it was more of a, not a relief of like nothing's really handed to you in track and field. Like you might feel like you deserve it, but ultimately like it's not going to be given to you. So to finally kind of see her like get the job done, and it's just like, yeah, it's like a sigh of relief of like, okay, you did it, and like now let's try to focus on the next thing.
It was completely out of left field because I wasn't thinking about like myself or like my performance the entire time. I was just thinking about like, oh my God, we won our first, like we won OUAs again. Like finally, like next step is U Sports. So like when they're like, oh, it's you, I was like, this me? Like I thank you so much. Like because also last year I also set it like a record in the 600. And I got the same medals as last year, but I didn't get the OUA record, the OUA like award. So I was just so honored that this year I got it.
Winning the Coaching of the Year awards really does allow me to recognize my staff and my coaches, because if it wasn't for them, like the athletes make the coaches look great, the assistant coaches make the head coach look great too. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have had the success that we have.
And now let's have the gold medalist, Western Mustangs.
Especially like after Guelph had that title for so long, and then for us to not just take it once, but do it 2 times in a row, it's like maybe this is our streak now. But that was really exciting, and obviously the men didn't win at OUAs, but like knowing like in our heads like we have way more people that like didn't compete or that have like way more in the tank for U Sports was a good feeling too. It kind of like OUAs was kind of just more like another meet this year. Like it wasn't like the end goal, versus last year when we won OUAs, it was like, wow, look what we did. And then, like I said, things didn't go exactly as planned at U Sports, but this year things were it was just a smarter approach. And it was, like I said, just kind of like another meet.
Last year was different because we had a really strong team last year, but it wasn't a given. I think Guelph was really strong, and we knew we had to put everything into it to win, and we hadn't won in years, and we celebrated a lot after that. I think we really enjoyed that win, where our goal this year was really to come into the season focusing all our efforts on U Sports. And our team was stronger than last year, and Guelph had lost some people, so we knew that even if we didn't have all of our best athletes running like the most amount of points they could do doing every single event, we still had that cushion and we could still win. So we went into the weekend just wanting to execute all our individual races, and we didn't have to do anything flashy. We just needed to show up and make sure we were staying healthy going into U Sports. So yes, we were really happy to win OUAs. We never take that for granted. But we had the mentality like the job is not done. So we definitely didn't let it we didn't get ahead of ourselves. We knew that it was just a stepping stone to U Sports.
Process started immediately after the competition. I told myself before the OUA shot put final that no matter like win or lose, I was gonna go about the process the same way. So, you know, making sure that I did a proper cool down to be able to come back and then start training again on Monday, versus, you know, not doing a cool down, enjoying the rest of the meet, and then my body's hurting on Monday. So it was just business as usual as soon as it was done, because the true and ultimate goal was always March 8th. So yeah, just being able to like, you know, stay regimented, stay committed to the process over the last 2 weeks of the program was definitely what carried us through for sure.
And the Western sprinters just really perform well at Windsor. So they knew exactly what was going to happen at U Sports because we had already done it at OUAs. So our team spot is the same spot. So just the comfort level I knew was going to be really good for them, because we had been there. That was our 4th time there that year. Again, it's kind of boring for them, you could say, but it's just very comfortable for them. So again, they know exactly what's going to happen. They know the officials. They know how the meets run. So I do think that did play it played in our favor. It's a 2-hour drive from London. We all were able to go down on the same day, so we kind of kept that family together. When we have to travel, some of the relay runners will go on a certain day, and then some of the jumpers will go on a certain day. So at the end of the meet, you definitely, or once the meet starts, obviously the entire team is there, but just when we can all kind of travel on together, it kind of builds that excitement. We're able to have a couple team dinners together. So again, just everybody was comfortable. And yeah, we're at the home away from home.
I guess a week and a bit before U Sports, that like little lull Taylor was like, we're like pretty much virtually it's gonna be like the chillest time before OUAs. He was like, even like because our workouts were so chill, we would ask Taylor like, can we like ramp it up, and he would be like, no, like he was not like risking anything, which is honestly a good thing, because in the past years, like going to OUA or U Sports, like I find that I would start to like plateau, especially in like my performance. So Taylor was like, we're just gonna like keep it chill and everything, and it definitely worked out because I ran like my second best time like ever at U Sports, was like, which I've never done. So it was definitely like a good thing, just like being able to chill, like get the body in check. So
definitely trying to attenuate the kind of mental excitement, right? Because we knew going into U Sports that, you know, we had seen the rankings, we knew where the other teams were at, we knew where the other people in our events were at. I knew what my times were like and where I thought they would end up being at U Sports. But even with all that chatter, with all that buzz, you need to tone it back and remember, okay, I still have a week and a half of training before we actually start this, and a lot can go wrong. And look at what happened to me last year, right? The weeks in between OUAs and U Sports last year, that's when I got super injured, and I let the excitement get to me, and then I ended up being devastated at the end of that. So I learned from that experience and recognized, okay, I really need to just calm my nerves, take a step back, trust the process. That's one of Taylor's favorite phrases. And he's right, because our training changed a lot during that time. It went from going from a lot of, you know, longer distance, speed endurance, more tempo style workouts to just purely speed. And when you're a 300, 400 meter runner doing purely speed work, it's a little scary. You think, okay, am I going to be able to make it through 300 meters smoothly? But you know, in Taylor we trust. That's what I always say, and it worked out exactly how it worked out, right? It couldn't have worked out any better. And just another testament to the fact that when you are surrounded by good coaches who know what they're doing, and when you truly trust those coaches, some pretty incredible things can happen.